you wanna go to war with me? You're talking like you think you're royalty. You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break. I heard you question my stability. You think I'll fall just like a guillotine, but I am here to stay. Won't look away. The storm is coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control it in my bones. I'm coming for it, coming for it. I'm coming for the throne. I'm coming for the throne. So you wanna be my enemy? You should've known I'd never kiss the rain. Ice runs in my veins. Won't play it safe. I don't belong with your nobility. Who died and made you king of anything? You think that I'm insane? It's your mistake. Kingdoms rise and fall. I've come to take it all. I take it. I've come to take it. Kingdoms rise and fall. I've come to take it all. I'll take it all. Storm is coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control it in my bones. I'm coming for it, coming for it. I'm coming for the throne. I'm coming for the throne.
Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it. Fuse like a magnet, lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, cause that's what it takes.
All right, y'all. Happy Monday, October 6th, T-1 for the big day. Tomorrow we have both GameStop and Bed Bath & Beyond distributing their warrants. Let's go. I don't know what's going to happen with either one. It has been interesting to watch over the last couple of days, especially on Thursday and Friday, how the charts kind of did their own little different thing between Bed Bath and Beyond and GameStop with that kind of correction we had at the end of the day on Friday on GME. Bed Bath & Beyond did not really have a day like that last week. It went up on Thursday, up on Friday. Was GameStop related to options, expiration being on the same day as the ex-dividend date, and maybe BBBY got a little slack because they had their ex-div date the day before? I don't know. We will keep on monitoring. Hang on one second. Scarlett's got a question.
You're gonna be doing.
Guess the question. If you can guess the question, I'll have my secretary buy you a top shelf drink. Gabriel says gold is pumping. Kenneth says warrant issuance will be before market open or close. That is a good question, Kenneth. I would expect that when you wake up in pre-market at some point, at least by the point of market open, that you should see the warrants in your account. That is my expectation by market open, but there could be some delays in certain brokers, especially the smaller ones or foreign brokers. You know how they do. You know how they do with their delay nonsense. Delay. We're going to wait for T+1, T+2, whatever nonsense they're going to throw at us. I don't know. Keep me apprised of your various situations as they unfold. Send me some notes on Twitter or in the comments of this video tomorrow morning, and let me know what your status is as the market is opening. We're kind of taking data here. This is not a common thing, this sort of warrant issuance as a dividend. Like we, in our little research that we did here on this channel, including my help from the Discord. Thank you, folks. We found about 7, not counting SPACs or warrants like that. Just talking about warrant as a dividend. We only found 7 in the last 5 years. So definitely not common, and it is unique. I think that we have 2 side by side happening on the same day. And we're going to be taking all those data points because you never know in the rest of our lives or trading careers when paying attention to this stuff might come in handy. John Y says, just want to put it out there. If Bitcoin holds up at these prices, a Q3 of 180 to 185 million in profits is not unreasonable. Let's go. What is, I saw Bitcoin was way up this morning. We're at 125 right now. Love it. Doge Pound gang, how you doing? Grickles, Minion, howdy, Haddocken, good afternoon. Guys, I posted on X and in the community tab here on YouTube an updated short report on Cinemark. I just wanted to talk with you about that real quick, about how it relates to GameStop and my DD, my beliefs, which are different than other people's, and that's okay with me if they have a different opinion. But you want to talk convertible bonds, I would suggest before you start flapping your mouth on YouTube that you talk to some bond traders, maybe take a finance class in college. Most of the stuff I talk about, although I'm not a bond expert, we're talking the very basics of bond trading and finance that you could literally get by talking to any college student or professional in the industry. I hear everything different on YouTube, but when I talk to anybody who is trained, experienced, educated, does this for a living, it's the exact opposite of what YouTube is telling you, except here, of course, because I enjoy making sure that I'm providing you accurate info, not tinfoil pumper hype info. I think that with accurate info, you will have the most best chance in speculative tickers to have good swing trades, or even if you want to buy and hold, understand the trade, and you set yourself up for much better odds. You'll know when to wait for a good entry, and then if you believe like I do now that GameStop is really set up with a good position of cash, and they've turned the corner hopefully on profitability, maybe it's a good hold now, whereas it might not have been over the last 4 years. Cinemark, what we want to look at here is 815, the short interest, and every date before that, going back 5 years. Look how high that short interest was on a profitable cinema company. And then what happened after 815 on these short reports? We see that it's fallen by more than 50%. And why is that? Because they had convertible bonds, just like GameStop. They paid interest, a very small amount of interest, but they had convertible bonds, and those bonds were in the money over the strike price on the ticker by more than double. You hear everybody saying, oh, as soon as GameStop goes over 28, 29, 30 bucks, the bondholders are going to convert. That would be very uncommon. It would break every rule of bond trading. You always want to hold your bonds till maturity, because otherwise, if you convert early, you're giving up massive time additional value. Same theory on warrants. No exercise early. This is taught in colleges. This is basic info. You can go Google, ChatGPT, Grok, look up no exercise early as it relates to bonds or warrants. It's a basic tenet, a basic theory, well understood. And I would tell you that the bondholders of Cinemark and GameStop are no different, and they're going to follow the same basics of finance. No exercise early, unless there were some monumental price run up that made the time value left on the bonds or the warrants inconsequential. Then, all bets are off. And, maybe knock on wood, hopefully that happens. But what happened with Cinemark is most of these shorts, you can see they're unwinding their hedge, their bond hedge. This was not a bet against all these previous reporting periods, were not a bet against Cinemark. They were a hedge to the bond. And GameStop has the same thing going on with it. You can go back and look prior to March how low the short interest was on GameStop, and then how high it climbed once Ryan Cohen started offering the bonds. You can see that GameStop went from 28 million shares short to now 66 million. My rough guess is the difference between 66 and 40 and 28 is your bond hedge. Let's call it 40 million shares. And in 5 years, we'll see those shorts go away, but we're probably going to be dealing with them for the next 5 years. And if GameStop's price goes up, that short position, that short hedge will increase. Why does all of this matter? Why am I showing you Cinemark and how they went away? Because I'm going to keep telling you that a large percentage of the shorts in GameStop are bondholders. They're not betting against GameStop. It's just a hedge to their bonds to keep them delta neutral. And to remind you that let's say they need 4 million warrants. If their short position's 40 million shares, they're getting 14 million warrants. The hype channels will tell you the shorts, where are they going to get all these warrants? I mean, the What I'm seeing here is the shorts, the majority of them are bondholders, and they're going to be receiving directly from GameStop 3 times the number of warrants that they need. If they need 4 million and they're receiving from GameStop 14 million, I don't see a lot of shorts that are going to be in trouble here. The difference, if we say 20 million, they will have to go find their warrants if they didn't close out last week. And so that's why I think tomorrow could be interesting. There could be some jockeying around, some trading on those warrants, and I have no idea how it's going to go. It'll be interesting to watch. But if there are more net sellers than buyers, might not be that interesting. If the bondholders are getting 14 million warrants and they only need 4 million to cover their short, what do they do with another 10 million warrants? Do they hold them? Do they sell them? I don't know. I've argued both positions. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm trying to understand what they do if they choose either path. They could just say, hey, this messes up our delta hedge, our arbitrage strategy. Just get rid of them. They could just sell them. They could. So they'd be net sellers. Or they could say, yeah, we're going to fold these warrants into our strategy. And like I was talking to my college-age kid about to finish up his master's, I was talking about the GameStop warrants, and he said, and I mentioned the warrants going to the bondholders, and he said, and then they're going to short the stock, right? I mean, even a college kid knew this. This is not difficult stuff. They could, if they decide to keep the warrants, add to their short position on the stock. So since I don't know what they're going to do, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but we're going to be here to watch. We're going to be here to observe and to learn. And I'm certainly not going to be one of those guys promising you it's going to $500 tomorrow based on a warrant short squeeze. Based on everything I'm seeing, that would be, although it could be possible, I don't see it as a high probability event. Spike VT says, did you snag puts? No, I try not to buy puts unless I'm super bearish on a company spike. Even if I thought GameStop was going to trade back down to $21, closer to my cost basis, no, I don't generally bet against companies. I think the last, some of these really chintzy dollar stocks like a Finger, if it runs up to $5 or $8 and I was lucky and I got in at $1 and I sell in the run up, I might try and buy puts at the peak if I think there's a chance that it could run down fast enough for me not to get theta burned. But you got to have a massive spike for me to buy puts. And even then, half the time when I analyze them, my analysis is I might just break even if I'm right. If I'm off on the timing, I'm just going to waste my money. So it's not a common strategy that I do. I will sell puts. I will sell cash secured puts to get an entry on a ticker far more often than I will buy puts. What else did we want to talk about? I saw a lot of chatter today that Robinhood was down in the morning. Is it still down for you guys? I logged in real quick on my mobile device, and I had no problem logging in or buying stock on Robinhood today. So was that just like the morning news? Are some of y'all still having a problem? Like, what's going on with Robinhood? Let me know. Let me know what you guys are seeing out there. We haven't really talked about it in the Discord today. And speaking of brokers, tonight at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, we're going to do the long-awaited, long-talked-about DD review on Webull, ticker BULL on NASDAQ. That is a ticker that Mediocre Trader has been trading. And I've been wanting to get May on because, you know, looking through bank and finance company financials is kind of her thing, much more so than me, because it's a different analysis than looking at a company that sells things, goods or services. So May is going to kind of do a live walkthrough with us. I haven't talked to her. I don't know her opinion. I haven't talked to her other than saying, hey, let's agree on a time and a date. I have no idea how this is going to go. I know a lot of people say my shows are scripted and I tell people what to say. No. Pretty much everything you see on the show is live. Whatever happens, happens. So I don't know what May is going to say. And I think Mediocre Trader is going to join us as well. Life says it was down for a minute. Gabriel says he deleted it. Boop, boop. Yeah. I don't really use Robinhood. I keep a token amount of money in there just to, you know, for an occasion like today. Someone says the app is down. I want to go check it myself. Kenneth says AMC is trending down for good news. Is the market waiting for AA tweet? Oh man, Kenneth, you really want me to talk about AMC ahead of a proxy statement? I would say, you know, go watch my Q3 recap video that I put out a couple days ago. I don't own AMC at the moment, and there is a reason for that. And that is risk management. I think we're in high risk territory right now, and there's a reason why the price is being kept below $3. Or you can go search out my tweet today where I answered one guy with 4 bullet points why it's being suppressed, if you want to use that word. There's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of negative overhang on the stock that need to be resolved. Although, you know, if GameStop takes off or Roaring Kitty comes back, all of that becomes bygones in a blink. So, you know, I'd take a run up on GameStop or Roaring Kitty coming back. For all of you that need a positive move up on AMC, that'd be a welcome sight. But just AMC news, I don't know. We got a vote coming up. What's going to be on the proxy? That is my biggest question. Some of y'all are like, proxy? What's this guy talking about? No one else is talking to us about a proxy. Exactly my point. Why aren't they? Why aren't they talking to you about it? Why aren't you asking them about it? Oh, I know, because if you ask them, they will block you. They'll block you about a upcoming corporate action that could be meaningful to your trading decisions. I guess, you know, we will win, but we won't talk about upcoming corporate actions. All right. Let's see what y'all say on the poll here. Warrant distribution Tuesday. Rocket warrant squeeze. 1/3 of you say yes, and 2/3 of you think that it's going to be a yawner. We're going to be here either way. Maybe I'll look up in the morning in pre-market and see if it's worth doing an all-day live stream tomorrow or not. If it's screaming, you know, let's be here to document it. If it's not, you know, if we're just trading sideways or down, you know, maybe we'll just do an end of market wrap up. Dink says Cinemark hurting today. Let's look at all the movie stocks real quick. AMC red, IMAX red, Cinemark red. Only Dolby is in the green. General markets kind of mixed today. And let's look at one other thing, Dink. What the headlines are. Oh, how about OpenAI and AMD too, huh? Paul Tudor Jones says ingredients are in place for a massive rally before a blow off top to the bull market. Lisa here says Nvidia is still trading at a reasonable price despite hitting an all-time high. Lisa wants to offload some of her stock onto you. Peter Lynch on why he isn't in AI. I couldn't even pronounce Nvidia until about 8 months ago. Come on, Peter. Come on, Peter. Bitcoin hits 125K as investors look past the government shutdown. Let's check gold and silver, 39.85. And silver, $48.51. Man, I should have listened to you guys. It told me back in 2021, Tony, why aren't you buying silver? It's up 100% if you were patient for 3 years. Beautiful. Back to GameStop. Oh no, we slipped in the red here. What happened? A little bit of end of day slippage. Although we took a pivot. We saw this same pattern end of day Friday. Slippage, it tried to rally, and then the rally faded. Let's see what happens here in the last 30 minutes. Joe says AMC is garbage. Dink says AMC can't really dilute. That's the interesting thing about AMC right now. And one of the bullet points that I mentioned to the fellow on X is the company's functionally out of shares. So if something were to happen, let's say Roaring Kitty comes back and GameStop takes off and AMC with it as a sympathy play, AMC can't snuff that run out with dilution, which would be the smart thing to do, right? You want to sell shares into a run up, but they're out of shares. So the company would not be able to snuff it out. That makes it interesting until December when the vote happens. However, if we don't have Roaring Kitty come back or GME doesn't have a warrant squeeze, what is really the catalyst to make AMC run before December, especially if you think that in October you're going to get a proxy that is going to contemplate resetting the share count, not the share count, the authorized shares. I just say resetting because I don't know how they're going to do it or how many they're going to ask for, but I'd say 99.999% chance they're going to ask you for more shares. Chris, thank you. He says Tilray earnings before the bell on the 9th. That dude says I see AMC coming to 220 or 216 and then get ready for the next year. I like that plan a little better, that dude. I'm not opposed to buying AMC. I am opposed to holding when I can't quantify the risk. That's why I don't have a position right now. But after I see the proxy and I can kind of quantify the risk and see what they might be doing over the next 6-12 months, then maybe I change my mind. I'm bullish on the industry, but I think, for me right now, until I see what AMC's corporate plans are, the safe trades for me are IMAX and Dolby, and maybe even Cinemark for some of y'all. I don't enjoy trading Cinemark because Dolby and IMAX are really the partners of AMC. I'd rather still bet with the company, but I can't hold it ahead of unknown risk. maybe I'll be, maybe that in retrospect will be a dumb decision. You guys some of y'all always like to tell me, you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on the run up. Maybe. But I'm laying odds on the table, and my chips are on the don't pass line. I know, it's not popular. Grickles says, isn't AMC's cost basis for Hycroft like $12.50? I tweeted that, something like that, out about 2 weeks ago. It's roughly in that area. Yeah. $11.50, $12. But they do have bonus warrants also. So, if Hycroft has really good news and gold and silver continue to go up, AMC could break even or even make a profit. I wouldn't rule out AMC's Hycroft investment getting profitable. Is it a certainty? I'm not that smart to say it's a certainty. It depends on the news that Hycroft drops with their study at the end of this year. They're going to drop news with their plan, their timing, the economics of the mine based on historical gold and silver prices. Of course, they're going to factor in current prices, but typically when you're doing an economics model for a feasibility study, you have to go back and look at averages over, I don't know what they'll use, the last 3 or 5 years. You can't just take today's price and say, that's it. For the next 20 years, we're banking on this price. They'll probably have a table that says, depending on the price of gold and silver, here's our profit margins, return on invested capital that we expect. So we'll need to see that. And we'll need to see how big is the investment they need to get back into mining. I'm thinking, now that we're getting close, I'll finally tell y'all. I think if you're in my Discord, we've been talking about this for years. Probably $1 billion, half $500 million to $1 billion wouldn't surprise me. Where's that money coming from? Maybe they just sell to a bigger player so that they don't have to come up with it themselves. Maybe they do fund some of it from heap leach pads. Maybe they do some debt and some equity raise. I mean, there's so many possibilities that I can't guess what's going to happen. And anybody, I think, it's fine to speculate on it, and I wish you a lot of luck, but anyone who says they know exactly what's going to happen may not have considered all of the outcomes. Although, if you're a gambler, it's certainly a reasonable bet, especially if gold and silver keep going up. But it's by no means, in my book, a certain bet. If you got in here recently when Hycroft was super cheap, I think you're going to be in fine shape. I think. What did it get down to? $1.95. I think you'll be okay. Dummy me, I sold at $4 in July, and it ran up $3 more. First base hits, second base hits. Not trying to hit every home run, but always that when you left some money on the table, right? That dude says AA gave that Hycroft CEO the money hoping he might have a chance. I think, that they made a reasoned pitch. I like to think in my imaginary world that they flew them out there, gave them a pitch that says, hey, we're pretty confident we got a fuck ton of we're pretty confident we got a buttload of gold and silver down here. Here's what we know about. Here's what we think is extra. And we're pretty confident gold and silver are going to go up over the next 7 years. And, you know, take a small bet, Adam. 20 million, 25 million, what can you afford? We just need enough to get us 3 years down the road. And Eric Sprott's going to pony up some money too. And Adam said, roll the dice. I think they made a reasoned pitch to him. But yes, it is highly speculative because what happened if gold and silver prices would not have doubled? We'd be having a different discussion about Hycroft's price. But so far it looks like the bet is going their way. We will know for sure when we see Hycroft's study. Doug says, do you think GameStop will go up to a minimum 28 before January? I mean, didn't we just hit 28? What was this day? Yeah. Opened at 28, high of 28.10. I'd say it's very, very reasonable. Who asked that question, Douglas? Reasonable to be bullish enough to think that. But I think that the warrant hype will wear off after this week. So then we get back into thinking about the next quarter. If the warrant hype kind of fades, right? If it ends up being a nothing burger, and I don't know what it's going to be tomorrow, but if it ends up being a nothing burger, the next thing that me personally am going to be focusing my time on is really trying to do some predictions about the current quarter revenue and earnings, thinking about profitability and power packs, trading cards, collectibles. Are we going to see that revenue really is only going to go up from here? Because that could be the next point where people, you know, the more quarters you can log where you're showing growing revenues instead of falling and growing earnings from operations instead of negative earnings from operations, the more quarters that you can post in a row, the higher the confidence will get from the market in general about GameStop. Maybe this company, maybe Ryan Cohen pulled off a miracle. Maybe he cut it enough and found just the right niche to get the company growing again. That would be awesome. It's been a hard 4 years getting here. But I can't tell you with absolute certainty that is going to happen. It sure looks like it to me back of the envelope right now. But we'll talk more about that in the next month. Let's kind of get through this week. That would be, Douglas, though, my bullish, how do we get back up to 28? A good Q3 earnings would be a nice way to do it. And a very sensible, you know, imagine if a lot of people are thinking like me. And a lot of the hype, once the warrant thing is behind us, a lot of the hype turns into, this is going to be a really good quarter. Then you could get the price bid back up. Warrants tomorrow, Grickles. Tomorrow, we think, before market open. Although not all brokers. We've seen how many corporate actions from how many companies where certain brokers don't deliver you your deliverable on time. Some of y'all might be waiting days. Keep me posted, please. That dude says whenever anyone is about to retire from ANC, it runs a little, so we will get a little run up. Yeah, I saw that Kathleen Paulus is retiring from the board, longtime board member. I think that's her name, right? Kathleen Paulus. That dude says AMC will make a 52-week low before we see $5. I'm not making any firm predictions, that dude, although I would say if the proxy statement is perceived like a holy, what? He's asking for what? Oh no. Hell no, bro. If the reaction is like that, you could absolutely be correct. I have no idea what they're going to propose or how they're going to soften the blow. And bing, bang, boom, right around the time that that proxy hits, he's going to be delivering Q3 results, which are not absolute, they're not really stellar. AMC, they're not going to be stellar. Is he going to use a bad Q3 as some excuse why they need more shares and more access to liquidity just in case shit? I don't know. Anybody's guess. I have my guesses. Justin, what's up? He says, is it possible that the short sellers will push GME price as low as they can with everything they got, including the kitchen sink, and then start to cover? I saw, Justin, somebody post that yesterday, and it was kind of like a aha moment for me. And I thought that was a very sharp observation. Like maybe if you are short, you got out of your short. Well, no, let's say you didn't get out of your short. If you are short and you need to get warrants on Tuesday or Wednesday to deliver, how do you ensure that they cost you the least amount of money possible, short the F out of this thing going into Tuesday, drive the price down, which drives the warrant price down? I don't know, Justin, but I mean, I can see the logic behind thinking that. When I saw that, someone tweeted that yesterday, I was like, that's pretty insightful. I mean, I wouldn't argue against that. Kale Luca says, I think a lot of people are going to receive cash instead of warrants, and that is why we're seeing the drop today, so they can pay as little as possible. If we think about a warrant when it was at $28 being valued at about $5, I know a lot of people were posting over the weekend about $13. I think that was just a placeholder error. I'd have a hard time running a calculation where I could see the warrants being worth $13 at $28 GameStop price. We're thinking like they were $5 then. Today at $25, it'd be worth what? Approximately... Which price do we look at now? The one without the warrant or the one with the warrant? I see the GME options chain is back. It wasn't there this morning, but we have both options chains now, GME and GME1. Not November. I want October 2026. $32 strike without the warrant, $4 to $5. $32 strike with the warrant, $3.85 to $4. Let's just say the warrant's worth $4 tomorrow. That's 40 cents per share that they're going to have to come up with. 40 cents per share. Don't just think, oh, they're going to have to come up with $4. And I've heard people say incorrectly, they're going to have to come up with $4 per share. No, you got to divide it by 10. If they drive the price down to 23, maybe you're at $3 for the warrant value. 30 cents per share. And the other thing is there's been this talk about, is a ticker's price adjusted down by a warrant value? That is, yes, by any dividend, the ticker price is 100% adjusted down. That already happened on Friday for GameStop. It happens on the ex-div date. So that's already behind us. And it's not that you'd see a $3, $4, or $5 price adjustment. It would be divided by 10. And I was looking at Bed Bath & Beyond. Their price adjustment was barely a blip, and then the stock kept running. Because as soon as you start trading, even once you take the dividend value out, the price could do anything. GameStop got the price adjusted and it went down more than we would expect just from a dividend adjustment. It's got some selling pressure, either from people exiting, sell the news type thing, or options chain related, or shorting, or a combination of all of them. But yes, I know people will confidently come on here to YouTube and tell you stocks don't get adjusted down by dividends. Bro, go take a finance class. Come on. That's like the basics of dividends, including warrants. You don't get value out of nothing. The good thing is many times investors don't even notice those blips because of trading. That dude says, when we're talking about AMC, he says we're going down to $2 before Friday. That's that's like a 30% rundown. That dude. I mean, without news, I don't see how AMC gets run down to $2. Wait till the proxy comes out. You might see a reset like that. I mean, we've been trading above 270. Been trading above 240, 250 for most of this year. I think you got to get news. I think you got to have really, really bad news. I know Nick is talking about what's he call it, his macro distributions or whatever. His price target could be correct, but not because of any algorithm. It's going to be based on news. And then he'll say, I told you my algo was correct. It's going to happen based on news. And then they'll say, well, the news, I love it. The news was timed to match the algorithm and instructions were given by Israel. We've known about the news, this upcoming proxy, since July, so it should not be a surprise when it happens. But yeah, I mean, you could absolutely be right, that dude, on how low it goes, and so could Nick. It could. I'm not going to be the guy that tell you it couldn't test $2, but it's gonna be dependent on the news out of the proxy. Justin says, I bought GameStop calls on Thursday. If exercise the GME1 calls, do they have to deliver the shares and warrants on those contracts? Yeah. Let me see if I have. Where do I have it? Here it is. If you're a buyer of a call, which is now called GME1 at the top in blue here, you will receive, if exercised in the money, you will receive 100 GME shares and 10 GME warrants. And if you need this table, I tweeted it out and it is posted on my community tab here on YouTube. Seven minutes. We tried, like on Friday, we tried that end of day rally and then it kind of faded. We're at 25.07, down 1%. Anton, what's up? He says, Tony, new to your channel. Did you get involved with GME? I assume you hold shares in it. Okay, let me catch you up real quick, Anton. I have been a stock trader since the 90s. Back in the days when they would mail us the pamphlets for a 10K, where we would have to call in all of our orders. the days when E-Trade began the thing of electronic trading, it was a monumental shift. The days where I had to take stock certificates into my broker to sell them. I've been trading for a long time. I have not been a meme stock or short squeeze trader for most of my life. However, I watched in 2021. I work from home, I was corporate for 15 years. I've been away from corporate life for 20 plus years now, doing my own thing. I was sitting here trading, watching GameStop, getting an education in January of 2021. I was not in the trade. And then I saw it do the expected dip, but it did the unexpected second rally. And I just watched all of that stuff with fascination, but it was too overpriced for me to jump in, even, in that whole January to June timeframe. And so I started looking what other squeeze plays had a lot of attention, and I got in AMC at that point. It was trading around $4, 5, 6, 7, I forget. Late May of 2021. And I started buying call options when it was that cheap, and I bought some shares, and then it ran up in early June and I made a fuck ton of money, sold my call options into the run up. And in July, after we got back from our honeymoon, I started the YouTube channel. Why did I start it? Because in June, I got really pissed at Trey and Matt for encouraging this irrational options buying into the top of a squeeze. You guys know what they were doing. They were buying call options at the top of the fucking squeeze. And I was like yelling at my screen, what the fuck are you guys doing? Take the fucking profits. And, I'm sitting here every day. So I started the YouTube channel. And I've covered almost all retail momentum or speculative trades since then. I didn't spend a lot of time covering GameStop because there were already plenty of other people doing it. But as most of those people have faded away, the only ones really left are the ones giving, in my opinion, bad information. And so I saw a need, and I have increased my coverage on GameStop based on that. And I switched. I did eventually buy some GameStop in 2021. I held it until the split in 2022. And when I saw the amount of hype and misinformation and tinfoil going into that split, I sold at the top of the split. I don't remember exactly, not the absolute top, but I sold into that run up, and I switched in 2022 to swing trading GameStop. And I switched in 2023, late 2023, around the judge's decision time, I switched to swing trading AMC. And it's been the best thing for both. Follow the trade, follow the retail sentiment, understand the financials, understand the corporate actions. Forget about all the hype and the tinfoil. They're good to help you time your trades, but they're not actionable trading signals. Like I don't use Reddit to tell me when to buy. Do I swing trade GameStop using technical indicators on any ticker? Yes, I treat GameStop and AMC now just like any ticker. I'm on GameStop. I'll tell you what I'm looking at. I'm looking at longer cycles, like the daily and the weekly. Forget about this. That was me making fun of somebody. I mostly do supply and demand zone. Look for supply and demand zones. I like to buy down in the demand zone. You can see my buys and sells here for the last 1.5 years. I missed buying in at $9.95. I don't know. I was looking at other stuff. Didn't have the available funds, whatever. I ended up buying at $29.70. I don't care what price I'm buying at if I have confirmed momentum. Sold at 60 and 48. Waited a long time to buy back in. Once I saw that we had a confirmed demand zone, I bought right here, 21.25, sold at 33, rebought in June, and this is my position right now, 21.61. People keep asking me, when are you selling? It's not the same company it was back here or even here. We've had an ATM, we've had 2 convertible bond offerings, companies sitting on $8.7 billion. And they've turned the corner in profitability. So it's not the same trade. I adjust my analysis and my plans accordingly. So I don't know. I will evaluate if I need to sell, if it runs up to this 33 or 35 zone. Like, why is it going to run up? If there's good reason for it to run up, like the company does an acquisition or has better earnings where I can run math and justify the price, I might just hold it. If it's just running because people are hyping a warrant squeeze, I would probably sell it. So I don't have any firm guidance to tell you what my plans are, other than this supply zone is where on any ticker, I try and put these supply and demand zones on most of the tickers we're actively trading or watching. That is where I really start asking the hard questions, like, do I sell here? But what do I have on the chart? Your question was about technical indicators. I have the 50 and the 200 on here. And I'll look at, if we start getting into a moment where we're trading up here, I'll switch to an hourly or 30-minute or 5-minute, and I'll add in other things like Bollinger Bands or RSI. But I'm not looking at any of that stuff right now. If I'm looking at day trading a ticker, I look at tighter technical indicators. I don't day trade GameStop. I do swing trade it, but that might be a month hold. It might be a 6-month hold. All right. It looks like in the middle of all that speech, the market closed. What time is it? 4:02. 4:02. Justin says, in 2021, did the squeeze start in aftermarket or pre-market? I can't remember. All I remember, Justin, is I was at my kid's graduation sitting in a football in June, sitting in a football stadium while they were all sitting out in chairs, looking at my phone with the numbers running up like a fucking speedometer. What do I do? What do I do? Pay attention? Film? Look at my phone? Watch the graduation? So always the worst possible time, right? When you go on a cruise, that's when the ticker you've been waiting on is going to squeeze. When you fly to Croatia for a 2-week vacation, that's when the ticker you've been waiting on is going to squeeze. When your kid has a graduation, that's when it's going to squeeze. It's always the worst possible timing. Yeah, that was a big candle. Good Lord. Cali Luca. 24.50. Ouch. But we're sitting comfortable right now. 24.99. That was some end of market cleanup. End of market auction probably. So, a red day for GameStop. Let's just circle up here and look at what I'm looking at on the daily and the weekly. Here's the daily chart. We've got 3 days of red, not great. We fell below the 200 on the daily, not great. We're headed back down to the supply zone where I'd like to see some support. And if we break below that, we've got the 50 at around $24, the 50 moving average. And we have our lower support down here are going back a year at around 21.50. I'm not trying to swing trade GameStop for $4. So even if it pulls all the way back into the low 20s, I'm okay with it. I'll wait and see what happens with the next earnings or some acquisition news. I'm not too worried about it, and I'm very patient. Get rid of that. And on the weekly, we fell below the 50, sorry. We got support on the 200 at around 23.80. And then that same lower support zone. So it's anybody's guess what could happen tomorrow. But the daily is not super bullish, and you guys know I'm not here talking about a warrant short squeeze like the other hype channels. That is not my belief of what happens. My belief is there'll be more than enough warrants, and that the passive ETFs will be sellers of warrants, and that the convertible bondholders might sell, or they might decide to add them into their ARB strategy. So I don't know. And there will be people that need warrants. So anybody's guess what happens tomorrow. I'm not expecting a big squeeze, but if one happens, I have a long position and I'm good with it. I'll be right there with you. I'll be celebrating. Got nothing but time, Cali Luca. That is, if you can just, that is the real zen. You know, if you got a good entry and you're not building your channel on feeding people full of hopium, it's easy to be patient. That dude says GME going back to 22. Maybe. Certainly could. If we end this week with the balloon of hopium getting popped and people loaded up on call options thinking that it's going to be a warrant squeeze, and those start expiring and the market makers unhedge any position they had against those call options, yeah, you could see that. I hope not, but I would say expect the unexpected. John says, I remember AMC squeezing when I was boarding a plane. If that plane didn't have free Wi-Fi, I'd be getting on and figuring out how fast I could pay for Wi-Fi. Robert says, GME is illogical, so I'm expecting something dumb mañana. Anton says, what's interesting for me is on the weekly MACD, The last time we crossed was before May last year in RK return. Oh, that reminds me. Thank you for bringing up the MACD, because I want to bring up two things. I do like the MACD, by the way. Here's our daily. Our weekly. What did he say? Last time we crossed was before May last year. You talking about crossing the zero line? I see a lot of people trying to make conclusions about what's going to happen with GameStop based on the May chart. But remember, Roaring Kitty was here for weeks leading up into this, and the price was at stupid low levels. So I'm a little hesitant to draw conclusions for myself about technical signals, knowing that there was more going on here then. But it would be interesting if we cross the zero line. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, not MACD, was these people that talk about the OBV. Tell me you've learned nothing in the last 4 years by saying, watch the OBV. It means no one's selling. I wish I could come up with a good analogy of why this is not interesting to me. I did make a video on it a couple years ago, if you care to go look that one up. But I just think in general, people don't understand that the OBV is a cumulative signal. So if you have super high volume on a green candle, the OBV is going to go up. And then for the next 3 years, if the volume falls off, see all these abnormally high volume, and every month here you have a green candle, and on volume and on the chart here, forget about the green candle on volume. If you have a green candle on the chart, that means it closed up for this period. Notice that the volume is high. Every trade has a buyer and a seller, but all the volume counts towards increasing OBV. OBV is never going down unless you had such bad news that you had a red candle for a month that was equal in size. It does not. On a long time frame like this, the data is going to be thrown off on any ticker that has outsized volume. So you can't use OBV. Can't use it on a 4-year look back, because this right here throws off the OBV. It is more useful if you want to look at a 1-hour chart. You can see how the OBV, people won't show you this. They don't want to show you that it's going down, that it's following the chart. It absolutely is useful on a shorter time period where you're not counting 2021. But these dipshits don't want to show you that. They want to create some fake narrative that no one's selling. I mean, there's buyers and there's sellers. You can see OBV going up and down if you just zoom in a little bit and don't count 2021. That's going to skew the entire chart. So I would say be careful if you're listening to anyone who mentions OBV. I would automatically say doesn't know what he's talking about. And there are many of them in many tickers. I'm not singling anyone out. It's not a useful tool. If you're trying to go back to 2021 and create a story, it's a useful tool. That is a sign of a grifter, a hype man, if you will. Sorry, Trip. Gum. Am I gum smacking? Did not mean this to be a gum smacking ASMR. Surge, what did Surge say? What's the short interest on GameStop? I think it's still around 16, 17%. Let's check. Yeah, 16.35%. And if you missed my little speech earlier where we had this chart up, my belief is that 40 million of these 66 million are bond holder delta hedge shorts. Not betting against GameStop. Don't care what the price does. Not worried about warrants. Not worried about the price going up. Not scared. They're just delta hedging the bond. They're chill. You have some shorts in the trade for sure, but not most. And then the other, some of y'all that I talk with think that the shorts are far more than this market data could be. I'm not going to try and convince you otherwise. You're welcome to have whatever beliefs you want. On my channel and in my trading, I use the market data. I'm not here to convince you that your theories are incorrect. I will tell you I trade based on the data that we see here. Serge, you are certainly welcome. Human Being says, are we rich yet? I don't know. Let's tune in tomorrow and see what happens. I had people last week promise me that we were going to warrant squeeze on the 3rd, and then I saw a bunch of videos over the weekend promising the same thing tomorrow. So I'm going to hold those people accountable for their promises. I am not expecting a warrant squeeze tomorrow for reasons we've talked about for the last hour. I don't need to bore you with, but my bullish thesis on GameStop, the reason I'm long, centers around one key thing that nobody can argue with. Two things. The company finally seems to have turned the corner on profitability. That's important. I'd like to see higher profitability, but let's give them credit where credit's due. And more importantly, though, $8.7 billion in, let's call it $8.7 billion in cash, provides a lot of uncertainty for shorts, a lot of risk. I think you'd be stupid to be short in this trade because you never know what Ryan Cohen's going to announce, which is why I believe the short interest report is accurate. You'd got to literally be crazy to be short GameStop. If it runs up for no reason, maybe the shorts increase their short position. But I mean, you guys agree with me. I think most of you, there's no good reason to be short GameStop. So why would anyone try and make an argument that there's billions of them still short? It's stupid. I don't think that short sellers are irrational. Chris, it is minty flavor, but it's also my nicotine gum. I am just finishing up 6 weeks of weaning off of the vape. Still got about, let's call it 6 weeks to go. If I ever feel like I don't have any vapes. I stopped buying them 5-6 weeks ago. But if I feel like I need a nicotine hit, got the gum. Thank you. I am sorry for smacking. You're just supposed to let it rest. You chew it for a few seconds and then you park it between your cheek and gum. And they do a good job of taking the edge off that craving that you feel like, oh, you need to smoke. I'm blaming my wife. Human being. He says he quit 4 months ago after 22 years. I never smoked growing up other than an occasional cigar in Vegas on a good day. But my wife enjoyed hookah on like a Friday night, and that got me started trying hookah. But then it became like an everyday thing for us. We bought one. And then I realized this is hell on my lungs. The darn hookah smoke. So I switched to a vape because I knew I couldn't just quit cold turkey. And it's been a while, over a year or more, that I've been off of the hookah and on the vape. But the plan was to quit altogether. So I finally reached the point where I said, I'm going to quit. It kind of went hand in hand with my getting back in shape this year, no drinking this year, cut the smoking. We're not getting any younger here. We don't need to subtract years with dumb habits. But I still will have an occasional cigar with you guys. And at some point, we'll have the occasional drink with you. I gotta get past this everyday craving. I don't crave alcohol. I only ever drank alcohol with you guys anyways. It used to make me laugh. Tony's an alcoholic. Look how drunk he gets. I was having fun with you guys on live streams. We do not drink every day. In fact, we have one bottle of Tito's left. And I think it has about a third left in it. There's 0 alcohol in this house. And that's no problem for either one of us. I do enjoy having a drink, but I don't need a drink. It's not like nicotine where you get that addictive, gotta have it. Don't start that shit. Don't start that smoking shit, guys. Really hard to quit. Baby UFO says we drive Tony to drink him. There were some days arguing with people about the court cases of AMC back in the day, Baby UFO, where, yeah, probably a few people got me like, oh boy, I gotta, these people driving me to drink with this. You remember all the crazy videos that people used to put out? Saying the judge she's a caring person. She's a loving female with a degree in the humanities. She's going to rule on our side. And I was like, no. The AMC didn't do anything wrong. They fully disclosed well in advance what they were going to do. The decision is going to go in AMC's favor. But, we had to endure many, many months of people saying we were going to be wrong. That probably did make me have a drink or two, baby. But we're past those days, and most of those people have long since moved on. That's what happens when you are continually wrong. We haven't been right on everything here, but we've been correct far more than we've been wrong. Nobody gets everything 100% correct. It's just about trying to get that batting average as high as you can. All right. I need to take a quick break, go visit with the wife before she goes to work, and we will see you guys back here this evening, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, with May and hopefully with Mediocre. And we're going to go through our thoughts on Webull. And like I said, Mediocre is trading Webull. I kind of know his theories on it. I have not heard anything about what May thinks about Webull. We're going to kind of do a live breakdown. So if you just want to learn, come hang out. And, you know, if you'd like to find out along with me if Webull is a good trade or not, come join in on that. I don't have an opinion on Webull yet, but I have been looking into it in a little bit of my spare time for many weeks. So we will see y'all back in 4 hours. What should we go out with tonight, this afternoon? Up and to the right or green? We got to do the green candle up, red candle down, because we are not doing up and to the right for the last 3 days. Let's do green candle up, red candle down.
A red candle down, by the dip, got a hold our ground. We've been waiting for so long, Edgy's reign will soon be gone. A green candle up, a red candle down, by the dip, got a hold our ground. Edgy's games are dead and gone, but the shorts we're going long. If you doubt it, sit and stare. If you love it, buy a share. A green candle up, a red candle down, by the dip, got a hold our ground. We've been waiting for so long, Edgy's reign will soon be gone. A green candle up, a red candle down, by the dip, got a hold our ground. Edgy's games are dead and gone, but the shorts we're going long. If you doubt it, sit and stare. If you love it, buy a share. A green candle up, a red candle down, by the dip, got a hold our ground. We've been waiting for so long, Edgy's reign will soon be gone. A green candle up, a red candle down, by the dip, got a hold our ground. Edgy's games are dead and gone, but the shorts we're going long. If you doubt it, sit and stare. If you love it, buy a share. Green candle up and red candle down, by the dip, gotta hold our ground. Edgy's days are dead and gone, GameStop's rising, going strong. If you doubt it, sit and stare. If you love it, show you care. A green candle up, a red candle down, by the dip, gotta hold our ground. We've been waiting for so long, Edgy's reign will soon be gone. A green candle up, a red candle down, by the dip, gotta hold our ground. Edgy's games are dead and gone, but the shorts we're going long. A green candle up, a red candle down, by the dip, gotta hold our ground. We've been waiting for so long, Edgy's reign will soon be gone. A green candle up, a red candle down, by the dip, gotta hold our ground. Edgy's games are dead and gone, but the shorts we're going long. If you doubt it, sit and stare. If you love it, buy a share. A green candle up, a red candle down, by the dip, gotta hold our ground. We've been waiting for so long, Edgy's reign will soon be gone. A green candle up, a red candle down, by the dip, gotta hold our ground. Edgy's games are dead and gone, but the shorts we're going long. If you doubt it, sit and stare. If you love it, buy a share.